time for the Hannity Hot Seat. If you watch Joe Biden's re-election announcement video, you may have seen something very interesting at the end. Take a look at your screen and see what it says on the bottom. Paid for by the Democratic National Committee. So the DNC is all in for Biden, and they've rigged the primary before it even starts. Remember, they're going to bypass New Hampshire, go straight to South Carolina. They're not even holding any debates, despite the fact that a majority of Democrats do not want Joe to run for a second term, but Joe isn't the only one running. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. recently entered the race, by the way, and he's up to 19% in the polls. That's a pretty big number, I think. And author Marianne Williamson, she ran back in 2020. If you recall, she is back in the race, and she announced her campaign before Biden did, and she did it longer than 3 minutes and didn't have to tape it. And she's asking Joe Biden to debate her. And she joins us now from Washington, D.C. tonight, the Swamp. Marianne, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I actually am going to start out in agreement with you. I think we'll disagree on other stuff. I think it would be fair for Joe Biden to debate you and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Why do you think he's not debating, and do you believe he's in a steep cognitive decline?
Well, I think in a democracy, what's important is that people have a right to see their options. I think this is an extremely important time in American history, and anyone who feels moved to run for president should have their say, and the voters should hear what they have to say, they should hear their agenda, and the voters should decide who they want to be president.
Okay, how about part two of my question? Do you believe he's in a major cognitive decline?
I'm not a doctor. I'm not somebody who is testing his brain. I think every American citizen
Marianne,
has to look at the president and listen to the president.
Does he seem like somebody that has the strength and stamina and is articulate to be president?
You know, I wouldn't be running if I didn't think that I was a better candidate. I think I have the energy, and certainly I have the ideas that are better.
You got to answer my
question. Because I'm not going to come on Fox News and talk to you, Sean, and say something like that. I'm not going to. I think every American can decide for themselves.
But if you believe it, you would tell us, would you?
My mind doesn't go into that. I don't believe that the energy is being demonstrated that I believe will be necessary in order to take on either DeSantis or Trump in 2024. And if I did, yeah.
All right. You said that we need an economic U-turn in this country.
Yes.
What system economically do you support? I'm a capitalist. I believe in limited government, more freedom, lower taxes, and energy independence. What do you want?
You know, I think our capitalist system has lost some of its soul over the last 50 years. I believe that capitalism, you know, Adam Smith, who is the main architect of free market capitalism, said that free market capitalism cannot exist outside an ethical context. I think public policy has to have ethics. So I believe that the American people, our safety, our health, and our well-being should come before short-term profits for huge corporate entities. I believe that there are other stakeholders besides just stockholders.
You're throwing out a lot of cliches. I want to dig down deep here. What do you think? I want, for example, lower taxes, more freedom, less government bureaucracy, and I want energy independence. I want borders secure. I want law and order. What do you want?
Okay, so let's go with each one. The first one, take each one at a time. The first one you said was lower taxes. I want lower taxes for middle-class people. I want higher taxes for people who have huge amounts of wealth and are living at the effect of public policies. How high? I want to see a wealth tax. I think people who, first of all, I think we should, look, in 2017, we had a $2 trillion tax cut. 83 cents of every dollar went to the very richest Americans and the very
let's see
richest
how smart you are in the economy.
The middle class.
What percentage of income taxes do the bottom 50% of Americans pay? What percent?
It's not about I'm not going to talk to you about the bottom middle class, the bottom half. I'm going to talk to you about the upper class, the 1%. So you asked me what I want to see. I want to see 50 million or more. I think people should pay an extra 2% in taxes. Wouldn't affect their day. And if someone has $1 billion, they should pay an extra 1%.
So you want to each American based on their need, from each American according to their ability.
You know, talk about cliches.
I'm asking.
I think that we should have fair taxation.
Is that a statement that you agree with? I'm asking.
Well, as a concept, but once again, that we should talk about what's real in this country.
That's Karl Marx's words, not mine.
Well, thank God I didn't say yes, because then you'd be calling me a Marxist.
You kind of did,
look,
but
Sean, well, no, I didn't. Look, Sean, look, I did.
Let me ask you.
You didn't trap me there.
Would you support me in this? Do you support energy independence, and we ought not be importing oil from countries that hate us and countries like Venezuela? Would you support me on that?
I think that I would support you that we should not be getting oil or selling arms, by the way, to countries that hate us. But I also want to see a habitable planet in 100 years. I want to see massive investments in green energy. I want to see a just transition from a dirty economy to a clean economy.
How much money? We're now spending over $50 billion. Every government agency is spending something on the climate alarmist religious cult. How many billions of dollars do you want to invest in it? Give me a number.
Listen, we have $858 billion right now in our military expenditure every year, and they are the largest institutional emitter of greenhouse gases. And the Congressional Budget Office, hardly a liberal organization, says that we could take out $1 trillion of that over the next decade and cut greenhouse gases.
But natural gas is a clean-burning fossil fuel. All right, I got to ask you about some of the weird stuff you've said.
Okay.
Okay, you have said your body is merely your space station from whence you beam your love to the universe. Don't just relate to the station, relate to the beams. You said everyone feels on some level like an alien in this world because we are. We come from another realm of consciousness and long from home. What the hell does that mean?
I'm surprised to hear you say that because I would think that you would recognize that as a very traditional religious and spiritual perspective, that we are spirits, that God created us as spirits, and that is what we are, and we are here to love one another, and we don't feel deeply at home on a spiritual level on this planet because this world is not based on love the way it should be. I think those words are
all right, that's
nice.
A fair answer. I'm a Christian. I believe in God the Father, that God created every man, woman, and child on this earth. I believe in Jesus Christ, his Son, that died and came back from the dead to save all of us from our sins. That's what I believe. So anyway, Marianne, I appreciate you taking the heat. Thanks for being here. You're welcome back anytime. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.